Ibn Rajab mentions what therefore then is the way of safety and what is the correct approach. And he has some nice speech in one or two paragraphs which we'll finish with inshallah ta'ala. He says, فَالْعِلْمُ النَّافِعُ مِنْ هَذِهِ الْعُلُومِ كُلِّهَا. He says, so what then is the beneficial knowledge out of all of these sciences, right? He's mentioned many things. What is the actual beneficial knowledge? He says, ضَبْطُ نُصُوصِ الْكِتَابِ وَالسُّنَّةِ وَفَحْمِ مَعَانِيهَا وَالتَّقَيُّدُ في ذلك بالمأثور عن الصحابة والتابعين وتابعيهم في معاني القرآن والحديث فيما ورد عنهم من الكلام في مسائل الحلال والحرام والزهد والرقائق والمعارف وغير ذلك. So he says the beneficial knowledge from all of these sciences is to be precise regarding the texts of the Quran and the Sunnah and to understand their meanings, right? So meaning memorize the Quran, memorize the Sunnah, and be precise in their meanings. And then to restrict yourself in that with whatever is reported from the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the Tabi'een. First three generations. What they said about the meaning of the Quran, what they said about the meaning of the Hadith, and whatever has come from them in the Masail of the Halal and the Haram. Not only that, but also in Zuhud and in Raqa'iq, meaning the things which are to do with piety and melting and softening of the heart and other types of knowledge. So in other words, in all our ulum, we return back to the speech of the Sahaba and the speech of the Salaf. And then, وَالْإِجْتِهَادِ عَلَى تَمْيِيزِ صَحِيحِهِ مِنْ سَقِيمِهِ أولاً ثم الاجتهاد على الوقوف على معانيه وتفهمه ثانيا وفي ذلك كفاية لمن عقل وشغل لمن بالعلم النافع عني واشتغل. So he says that, so after that, to strive in distinguishing the authentic from the inauthentic firstly, and then striving to derive what the meaning is of these texts and to understand that. And in all of this is a sufficiency for the person who comprehends and for the one who preoccupies himself with beneficial knowledge. It is enough as a preoccupation. In other words, in what Ibn Rajab has mentioned here, there is enough as a preoccupation for you to be preoccupied in this, away from everything and anything else. And obviously, you take from worldly knowledge that which is of practical benefit and sound, and which you are able to earn your living and so on and so forth. But this is the preoccupation, and this is what the Salaf or Salih were upon. And then there's a really beautiful part next, which I have to really quickly summarize. What he says is that every servant amongst us should strive to have a type of ma'rifah between himself and his Lord. Right? He should have like a private relationship between him and his Lord. So when you preoccupy yourself in this ilm, the aim behind that is to have this private relationship with you and your Lord, such that if you were to make dua to Allah, He will answer you. And if you make isti'adha to Allah, He will grant you, refuge. And this is like the secret that one has with his Lord. It is on the basis of this ilm that he is acquiring. And he actually mentions many beautiful narrations here. He says, فَأَصْلُ الْعِلْمِ العلم بالله الذي يوجب خشيته ومحبته والقرب منه والأنس به والشوق إليه ثم يتلوه العلم بأحكام الله وما يحبه ويرضاه من العبد من قول أو عمل أو حال أو اعتقاد. He says the foundation of all of knowledge, of all ilm, is knowledge of Allah, which brings about in you fear of Him, love of Him, nearness to Him, to be fond of meeting Him. Right? That's one knowledge. And then what follows that of the knowledge of the rulings of Allah and what He loves and is pleased with from the servant of speech, action, belief, and state of being. And this is beautiful, concise speech, that this is the asl of all of ilm. You have an ilm of Allah which brings about this fear and love and being fond of wanting to meet Him, and then whatever follows that of knowledge of His ahkam, His rulings, and that which He loves and is pleased with from the servant of speech that He likes, or action that He likes, or beliefs that He likes and is pleased with. This is the asl of all of ilm. And so in these pages, what Ibn Rajab is saying, that a servant should be preoccupied in this ilm until there develops between him and Allah a relationship such that Allah will answer His servant. He mentions the statement of Ibn Mas'ud, the hadith, تعرف إلى الله في الرخاء يعرفك في الشدة. If you know Allah, acknowledge Allah in times of ease, He will know you in times of hardship. And likewise the hadith Qudsi, وَلَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ. My servant never ceases to come close to me with the nawafil until I come to love him, to the end of the hadith. Right? So in all of these pages here, the general message that Ibn Rajab is conveying, that once we understand what is al-ilmun nafi', the servant has enough of a preoccupation in that thing, away from kalam and ra'i and falsafa and all the other things, to be preoccupied in that, by which he then develops a private relationship between himself and Allah, such that he knows his dua will be answered and what he asks will be given. Now this is what a servant should be seeking. And inshallah with that, we'll, obviously there's a lot more, so we have maybe 30, 40 pages left. But inshallah with that, we'll suffice with that, and inshallah there's enough in that for us to benefit from. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi.